What's trending on the internet right now is Krishan Rock and Blueface. And I've noticed a pattern here with a lot of women and just society today, that pretty privilege excuses bad behavior. It seems like no matter what Krishan does, she can be in the street fighting. She can be giving her boyfriend a black eye, and somehow people will blame Blueface. Although Blueface is not innocent, but when are we going to hold Krishan accountable? I just got through showing the ladies a video of them fighting in the street. Today, she released the sex tape of them because she found out he was cheating on her with other women. And what I find in today's society is so many people are excusing her behavior. I think because of how she looks. I think if she wouldn't be this pretty biracial looking girl with a great body, people would not excuse her behavior. People wouldn't give her excuses to do better. A lot of people are saying, I wish she would move on and just find a man that's better. What do you ladies think? And we'll just go in order.
For me personally, I just think that she can't do better until she does better. So a decent guy is not going, they'll look at her and say, oh, she's pretty. But if they are a decent guy, they're not going to want to add that to their life. So there wouldn't even be any opportunity for a relationship for her to even get into with a guy that has something going on, because he's not going to want to put up with that.
I love that take. I think a lot of that is true, but I think in this world where people are starting to talk about mental health a little bit more, I think it's important to talk about, like, some people are used to the toxicity. Some people find comfort in that, and so they don't know how to function in healthy relationships, so they just continuously choose partners that bring that out in them. And so until, like Miss Taken said, like, until you're willing to put that work into yourself to change who you're choosing, you're just going to constantly find yourself in these dynamics.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was definitely going to say sometimes dysfunction becomes function. Like when you expose yourself to something that wasn't a norm before it becomes normal. And I feel like a lot of people aren't necessarily taking into consideration the fact that, like, what people relate to tend to be experiences that validate their experiences, that like kind of like remind them of things that they were already familiar with. And like the thing about toxic relationships is that they can be addictive. And like that's what makes them toxic, right? You know,
especially when the D is good.
That part, right? So if you know you can't, like, that's what makes it toxic. You're not supposed to let it go for the reasons that are healthy, but you can't seem to let it go for the reasons that are not. So yeah, I think, taking mental health into consideration, taking people's backgrounds, what they're used to seeing growing up, and what they've created as norms for themselves into consideration. She may have just attracted him because that's the point of healing that she's at. So neither one of them are innocent.
Do you think that is that why a lot of women are excusing her behavior, because they can see themselves in her, and why they keep excusing her bad behavior instead of holding her accountable? Because she does have a very rough past. She grew up in an abusive home. Her mother's a drug addict. Like, she's been homeless, and she's like beat the odds in a way. But it's like, okay, she's an adult now. So it's like, when is she going to want that help,
So I do think that that's probably why. I mean, I'm just really getting familiar with who she is. Like, I've seen like posts and stuff, but I never really thought to go like see what her background is. So it does make sense that she's toxic based on that. But I also think that like you said, after a certain point, you are to blame for it, because she didn't beat the odds. She's going to end up manifesting that toxic outcome for herself based on the path that she's going down. You can't be putting your hands on a man and thinking that your pretty privilege is going to continue to, save you. So I don't know.
Do y'all think if she looked different, not the standard beauty, would people excuse her behavior? Because I'm thinking about like Bobby, like people are saying, calling them the new Bobby and Whitney. And I don't know how it was back in the day with like Bobby and Whitney when she was with him. Did people more so blame Bobby for her behavior, or were people holding Whitney Houston accountable? Because I feel like Whitney Houston did have pretty privilege maybe back in the day, but I don't know. Maybe y'all can kind of tell me about that time.
That's my age group. No, no. That's the era that I grew up in. It was the fact that they blamed Bobby because Bobby had the bad boy image. The public persona for Whitney, she had a great team that kept her image clean. So because he was the bad boy and she was considered the good girl, whatever bad behavior she displayed, he got blamed for it and said that, oh, it's his fault that she's behaving like that. So I don't know if it was necessarily pretty privilege or if it was more about how both of them were marketed.
Right. She has a great publicist.
Right. So she benefited, although now, if you watch the bio and all of that she has some ish going on with her herself. But with the young lady that we were just talking about, it goes to like what Lady Mogulette had said. I remember someone had told me that they grew up in a chaotic environment and that became their norm. So when they were in healthy relationships, like a dude that didn't behave in the same manner, that they created that dynamic on purpose because they were familiar with the chaos. They were comfortable there because they knew what that was. But to sit in a situation where no chaos was going on made them very uncomfortable. And so they like ended up going to therapy to kind of work through that kind of stuff. But yeah, so it's true. You create the environment that you're used to, but it gets to a point where you have to take accountability. If you want better, you have to do better.
I think I can say I'm guilty of that because maybe when I was younger, like a little bit younger, in like early 20s, I would look at that and be like, oh my God, he's horrible. Look how he's making her act. He's driving her crazy. She has so much potential in her future. She can do better because she looks better. I think a lot of women put a lot of emphasis on looks. They feel like if you're pretty, you don't get cheated on. If you're pretty, you get treated better. If you're pretty, you deserve better. You deserve a millionaire. You deserve a man of a different stature than what you're dealing with. When really we need to realize that looks has nothing to do with that. Looks has, and I didn't realize that until I got older because I would have made excuses for her too. Because she has a great body and she looks so pretty. It's like all she needs to do is clean it up and stop acting crazy, put her tooth back in, and boom, she could snag a good man. But the inside is so ugly.
She missing a tooth.
She's missing a tooth. She has a tooth with his face on it. She has a tooth with his face printed on there. Because when she got her tooth fixed, she started to not become the joke. Because everybody jokes on her like the missing tooth girl. And so people didn't take her serious. But once she got her tooth fixed, people started taking her serious. People started rooting for her. And then he saw that. Obviously, he's jealous. And he's like, no, I don't want people to take you serious because you're going to get too big-headed and leave me behind. We just going to be talking. So she was like, all right, I'm going to just snatch the tooth out and put a new tooth in with your face on it.